Not long ago, Israel launched large-scale airstrikes on Damascus and other areas in Syria under the pretext of supporting the 1 million Druze people in Syria, and even came close to decapitating Jilani. This raid seemed quite spectacular, yet it successfully prompted a shift in Syria's stance. Now Jilani has gained two powerful foreign allies, and Israel has essentially managed to thoroughly sabotage the United States. According to media reports, Syria is reaching an agreement with Turkey, and this military cooperation deal is set to be signed this month. It is expected that Syria will allow Turkey to establish 3 military bases within its territory. Turkey will directly dispatch troops, drones, air defense missile systems and other forces to station in Syria. By then, Syria's military airports and other facilities may be made available for use by the Turkish military. Although Turkey is a NATO ally of the United States, it does not align with the US on the Syria issue and also has tensions with Israel. When Israel attacked Syria, Erdogan publicly accused Israel of being a terrorist state. At that time, Erdogan insisted that Turkey would never allow Syria to be dismembered again. Now it seems that Turkey has kept its word and is prepared to use military means to support Syria. Of course, Turkey also has its own ulterior motives. Ankara may target the Kurdish armed groups in Syria that receive US military support. It is expected that Turkey will strengthen its presence in Syria to ensure its objectives are met. Even though Turkey has its own calculations, for Jilani, cooperating with Turkey is still better than being attacked by Israel. Moreover, Jilani has not only secured Turkey as a foreign ally. Not long ago, Faisal Mekdad, the foreign minister of Syria's transitional phase, traveled to Moscow for a meeting with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. The two sides reached a consensus. Syria is willing to have Russia stand by its side, and Lavrov pledged that Moscow will support Syria's reconstruction efforts. The changes in Syria's situation do not overshadow Russia's historic support. It seems that after being attacked, Jilani finally realized that Russia is more reliable. Now, Syria, which has moved beyond the Assad era, still chooses to cooperate with Russia. This means that Russia's Tartus naval base and Khmeimim air base in Syria are now secure. In contrast, the US presence in Syria now seems somewhat pointless. According to news from the Pentagon, US troops have accelerated their withdrawal from the Middle East. Among them, the US military station at 3 bases in Syria and Iraq has been reorganized, either merged into other bases or directly withdrawn entirely. The Pentagon's plan is to reduce the number of US troops in Syria to less than 1,000 within a few months, retaining only 1 base. Israel once tried to prevent the US withdrawal, but the US had already informed Israel of the withdrawal plan in advance. It is expected that the number of US troops, which was originally increased to around 2,000, may indeed be reduced to less than 1,000. After the US military withdraws, the remaining facilities may either be destroyed or handed over to Kurdish armed groups. However, with the arrival of the Turks, Jilani has gained greater confidence. He may demand that the Kurdish armed groups be integrated into the Syrian army this year as agreed, which would mean a further weakening of US influence. Undoubtedly, Israel's reckless actions have actually created troubles for the United States. It is no wonder that after Trump learned of Israel's airstrikes on Syria, he immediately told Netanyahu to demand that Israel change its approach. For the United States, Israel's actions have directly pushed Syria away from it. Now Syria has chosen to cooperate with Russia and Turkey, and the US military has no reason to stay. It is even possible that instead of pushing Russia out, the United States will end up being forced to pack up and leave.